Hello boxing fans, this is Ted Gambardella with a tribute to the great Joe Frazier and the truth about him and Muhammad Ali. You know, we were very sad to learn about the death of the great heavyweight champion Joe Frazier. And we wanted to pay our respects to this great man and set the record straight on his relationship with Muhammad Ali and the press. In today's world, the press has made Muhammad Ali the greatest boxer and one of the greatest people in the history of the world. He can do no wrong. He was the greatest. And Joe Frazier was just another fighter who happened to be around for him to beat up. Well, that's just not the way it really was for us who were actually alive and watched them and were fans of boxing in the 60s and 70s when they were actually fighting each other. Muhammad Ali was the most hated man in America. No doubt about it. If you were a young man or woman in America right now, or if you are a young man or woman right now, you would, and you read the press, you would think that Muhammad Ali was the greatest person in the history of America, the most loved man in America, and that's just totally wrong, folks. He was the most hated man in America, not because he was black, but because he was an asshole. His big mouth made people so mad, and his refusal to support the Vietnam War, and I didn't support it either, and the government of the United States, and the people of America, and his hatred of the white people of America was evident. Don't believe the lies you read in the press now about Ali being America's hero. These are, in fact, not true. And that's just all crap. It is not true. Joe Frazier was America's boxing hero. Joe Frazier was the man that young men and women looked up to and wanted to be like. Everyone rooted against Muhammad Ali. Joe Frazier was an example of hard work, decency, and dedication. And he was a ferocious boxer. He knocked out everyone he fought, and if he not knocked them out, he beat them up badly in the ring. He was almost invincible in the ring. And brother, when Joe Frazier hit you with that left hook, you went down. And when he fought Muhammad Ali the first time, he knocked Muhammad Ali down and he broke his jaw. And he won that fight easily. It really wasn't even close. It seemed that Joe Frazier could rule the heavyweight division for a long, long time. But along came a man named George Foreman, and brother, George Foreman was an animal. When George Foreman fought Joe Frazier, Foreman knocked Frazier down 6 times before the referee stopped the fight. And even after the fight was stopped, Frazier still wanted to continue fighting. No one could believe that Foreman could knock down Frazier 6 times. And it was, in fact, one of the knockdowns was really a knock-up. He knocked Joe Frazier, a 200-plus pound man, in the air. And then he fell to the mat. It was unbelievably vicious and powerful. And it seemed to be the end of Joe Frazier. And in fact, Joe Frazier would never be the heavyweight champion again. But that fight did set up 2 more great fights with Ali. In the second fight, it was very close, but Ali won. But that allowed the third fight, the Thriller in Manila. And Brevi, that wasn't a fight. It was a death match. This was the most vicious, brutal, life-threatening fight in the history of boxing. Both men almost died in the ring. And Joe Frazier could not come out and answer the bell on the 15th. And if he would have come out, he probably would have died, and Ali would have died too. It was that vicious and life-threatening of a fight. Neither man would ever be the same again. But here's the point I really want you to understand and I want to make about Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier was the most beloved boxer in America, not Muhammad Ali. Today, Ali is being touted by the press as the greatest boxer in history and one of the greatest Americans and black Americans in history. And brother, nothing could be further from the truth. Muhammad Ali did a lot of great things for boxing and a lot of great things for the black men and women of America. But he was also the most divisive and hated man in America for 20 years. Joe Frazier was America's boxing hero, not Muhammad Ali. As you read and listen to all the tributes to Joe Frazier today, and hear the people talk about the greater Muhammad Ali, don't forget, it was really Joe Frazier that most of us in America were looking up to at the time, not Muhammad Ali. Joe Frazier was my boxing hero and still is. Muhammad Ali is a great man and deserves the recognition he has gotten. And I have personally met Muhammad Ali and talked with him and know he is a fine person. but he is not Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier was my boxing hero when he was fighting Muhammad Ali, and he's still my boxing hero today. God bless Joe Frazier and his family. This is Ted Gambardella. I'll see you next time.